Hi everyone, I'm Shelly from There's No Place Like Home at redheadmom8.wordpress.com. Now that it's June and graduations are happening, one topic that you will see coming up more and more often around this time is college. And today I wanted to share with you why I, as a parent, will never force college on my kids. You know, one thing that I have learned very, very quickly since I started writing my homeschooling blog and since I started this channel is that I think very differently from most homeschool moms that I either know or that I meet or talk to online. There are some who have the same mindset that I do, more and more actually as time goes on. But I'm pretty sure that for the most part, I think extremely differently about homeschooling, education, and just the world around me than most homeschool moms do. And yeah, college is one of those things that I am very, very different from a lot of homeschooling moms. And I am not saying that their way is wrong. I am simply saying that I just feel differently about these things than they do. And I want to talk to you about why. I know that a lot of people, once their kids get into the high school years, they start just thinking about college all the time and what prospects would be good choices for college and how far away they want their child to go and maybe what sorts of things their kids want to major in. And it seems like for a lot of families that college is really, really central to those last 4 years of high school. And in our family, it isn't like that at all. I have never been one of those parents who felt that college was an absolute necessity. Now, yeah, my oldest son, he does have a degree, so I am not saying that I completely discourage my kids from going to college. If they want to go to college, they absolutely can, but they know that it's never something that I'm going to be disappointed about if they decide not to do it. Because, you know, we've got to be fair, and I'll talk about some of these things later, but not all professions require college degrees. I know that, you know, in society today, we seem to think that that's the case, but it really is not. And so that's just what I wanted to just talk to you about today. As a society, we seem to be really obsessed with technocracy. A lot of people just seem to think that experts are the be all and end all of everything, and that those experts are the ones who should be telling us what everyone should be doing. And the reason that I'm doing experts in air quotes is because the definition of expert, I think, has really changed over the last several decades. You know, 40 or 50 years ago, someone who was actually out in the field studying a specific topic or a specific area, they would be, you know, getting their hands dirty. They would be doing experiments. They would be collecting specimens. They would be in the lab, and they would have everything around them, you know, surrounding this area that they were learning in. That is what an expert was 40 or 50 years ago. Somebody who actually was completely immersed in the field that they were considered to be knowledgeable in. That's not the case today. Our society seems to be really, really obsessed with a piece of paper called a college degree, and that seems to be what a lot of people are considering experts to be. They're no longer concerned that the people have spent time out in the fields actually getting their hands dirty and actually learning the true art or the true subject area that they claim to be knowledgeable in. A lot of kids, a lot of college students are learning these areas, you know, by PowerPoints and by textbooks and by lectures. And so once they're earning these college degrees, yeah, a lot of people will consider that piece of paper as affirmation that that person is an expert in something, when in really it is all just on paper. They have never had any actual field work experience. So what has happened over time is that the level of expertise in our society has really decreased. Because when you learn something in a book or on a PowerPoint, it is completely different than when you are actually out there doing it. And that's something that I think a lot of people don't understand. So our experts today really are not experts. And I will come right out and say that. And I actually, I dealt with this a few years ago. I was asked to write a homeschooling post for a parenting website, and they told me that they wanted me to have like an expert opinion in there. And I was like, well, what's a homeschooling expert? I had never thought there was such a thing as a homeschooling expert. But rather than, considering myself or other homeschool parents who have been doing it for like decades, rather than considering them to be experts, people who have actually homeschooled their kids, they had me use someone who had simply studied education and studied homeschooling and interviewed a few homeschooling families, and that was who this website considered to be their homeschooling expert. Somebody who had never actually homeschooled but had just studied about it, and they had that piece of paper in their hand, so that made them the expert. And that's what I see is going on more and more and more. The problem, though, is that college has really become an extension of public education. And if you've been here before, you know how I feel about public education. It's not education at all. It is indoctrination. That is what college has become. So what is happening is that college students are no longer getting an education. They're being indoctrinated. And there is evidence of that everywhere. There are college students who are graduating who have no working knowledge of the history of our country, of the most basic things. There are actually videos out there, if you search them on YouTube, of college students just being asked basic questions like how to spell the word definitely. They couldn't spell the word definitely. Asking them who the vice president was. Didn't know who the vice president was. Others were asked what war the U.S. gained its independence in. Had no idea. And these were U.S. students, by the way. And there are even students out there who can't even find the state that they live in on a map. And so why is it that we as parents feel that we just have to get our kids into these institutions that are dumbing our kids down? So yeah, what's happening is that it is all about indoctrination. Now, some private colleges might be different. I'm mainly talking about the more mainstream public colleges, but yeah, even Ivy League colleges like Harvard, they're indoctrinating students into cultural Marxism. It is no longer about academics. It is no longer about a true education. It is about instilling cultural Marxism into this generation of kids. So they are graduating ignorant, and as they are graduating ignorant, they have this idea that they are experts on everything. And I talked about this in another video, how they're built up and just being made to think that they know everything there is to know. But in fact, critical thinking skills have been wiped out in the public education system. And as we can see, they've been wiped out in colleges as well. And so while these college students, they might be experts in trying to rewrite the Constitution, because yeah, there are a lot of them out there who think that we should start limiting free speech, among other things. They can't even answer the most basic questions. So again, I'm just going to ask, why do we as parents feel so desperate about putting our kids into these institutions? And if the answer to that question that you're thinking is, well, because I want my child to succeed in life. And the fact is that degrees are really becoming a dime a dozen. Since college has been pushed and pushed and pushed in society for so long now, and I truly believe it's because they want those kids in the schools longer to indoctrinate them. That's just my 2 cents. But but since there are so many people who are going to college now, the college degrees, they're not like as few and far between as they used to be. So competitive wages are just not really going to happen anymore, because everyone and their brother now has a college degree. So it's not like something that is rare as it used to be. Everyone has one. And the thing is that people seem to think that they need to get degrees in like everything. And there are so many kids who put tens of thousands of dollars, if not more, into college for degrees in areas that they don't need a degree for. They will never use that degree for anything. And very often there are college students who go to college and put these tens of thousands of dollars in it and don't even know what they want to do in the first place. And I'm the perfect example of that. When I went to college, I went for theater and speech. Now, as an adult, I realized that was pretty stupid because you don't need a college to act, and you don't need a college degree in order to know how to speak well. And these are just the notions that we all have put in our heads by society, is that you have to have a college degree to succeed. But it's backfiring because so many people now have these degrees, and so many people are getting degrees in the same areas. Like, there are so many people getting degrees in education. There are so many people getting degrees, for example, in like software engineering and those sorts of jobs, that what is happening is that they're going to college, they're leaving college, they're graduating, and they're not getting jobs in their fields anyway, yet they have all of these debts that they have to pay back from college. And so when it comes to my kids, what I've really been trying to instill in them is just a spirit of entrepreneurship. Because you know what, when it comes down to it, the kids or the young adults who are going to stand out in the workforce are not going to be those who look like everyone else. They are going to be those who are innovative. They are going to be independent. They are going to be resourceful. That is who is going to stand out in a sea of other people who all look exactly the same. And you know, I think that a lot of us forget that there are living examples of people who did not graduate from college and who are immensely successful. For example, Bill Gates is one of them. He's a self-proclaimed autodidactic learner. He never graduated from college. Now, I'm not going to give you the impression that I like Bill Gates, because I'm not too fond of him. But it's true. He's extremely successful, and he never graduated from college. But he pushes college. He is one of those elite who push and push and push college because they want people to keep taking the same path. Because when people are indoctrinated into the college system, into the school system, they are easier to control. And if you have ever watched some of Bill Gates's speeches, and I know I'm like going on like a curve here, but if you've ever watched any of his speeches, it's clear that he wants us to be controlled, and they see education, well, what once was education, as a way of doing that. And you know, my kids know that, and they all understand that, yeah, there are things that you definitely need a college degree for. Like, I would never go to a doctor who didn't have a college degree. Of course, you know, just like I would never fly in an airplane with a pilot who had never taken lessons and gotten their pilot's license. Of course, there are certain areas that you do need a college degree for. But I think that, you know, parents really need to start helping their kids to differentiate when they do need one and when they don't need one, because college is not the only way. As I mentioned before, there is entrepreneurship, there are trade schools, there are technical schools, and very often there are even people who will graduate and who will go right into a career style job simply because they know how to work with their hands and they have that experience. And you know, my son, who graduated last year, he actually is working with my husband now. He did not go to college. He never wanted to go to college. He is the one that has ADHD, and he just figured that college would not be right for him. And I'm going to be honest, college is not right for everybody. But he is working with my husband now, and I will tell you that my son is earning more money than I ever did when I was working. So we have got to just get ourselves out of this illusion that college is the only way. If your kids want to get into a field that they absolutely need it, by all means, yes, encourage them and give them the tools that they need. Help them to figure out how it is that they're going to do it. But don't ever feel let down if your kids tell you that they're not interested in college. Because you know what? When our kids are little, we always tell them, you know, don't be like everyone else. So why is it that once our kids graduate from high school, we do want them to be like everyone else? We want them to go to college like everyone else. We want them to look like everyone else. And I'm going to remind you one more time that people who look like everyone else, they're not the ones who are going to stand out in the crowd. So anyway, that's all that I have for you today. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed yet and would like to hear more of what I have to say, I would love if you would do that. If you have any questions or comments, you can follow me on Instagram and leave a comment over there because YouTube has disabled my comments. I will leave the link in the description box. And also, if you like my work and would like to check out my Patreon page and see what rewards I have for my patrons there, I will leave that link in the description box as well. And I hope you have a great day.